So, I have the solution to save Spider-Man from this whole Marvel and Sony fiasco. It's very, very simple. Now, the first thing is, let's think of the consequences for both of your companies, both Sony and Disney, should this deal not go through, okay? First, on the Sony side. Sony, the thing is that you think the next Spider-Man movie, you can so easily disconnect all the references and connections from the MCU, from Spider-Man, and then do it for all subsequent movies as if he wasn't built on that entire premise. The reality is that the Tom Holland character has been so heavily integrated, it's going to look and appear very strange, odd, a little disconnected, and then it also raises a lot of questions amongst fans. Remember what happened after every movie after Avengers? Where's Captain America? Where's Thor? Where's whatever? The natural question the audience is going to ask is, where are these other characters we know exist in the universe, but now they don't exist in your universe? Now, you can try and bring him into the Venom verse. The problem is that you're going to have questions about, well, so wait, does that mean Venom, why isn't Iron Man coming in to fight Venom? And audiences, they're not following all this legal stuff. They're just in it for the movies. They just want to pay money to go see a good movie. Now, the next, so you've got that issue going on, and that'll just ultimately just kind of ruin the franchise, ruin Spider-Man. You'll have to sort of just go through the process of rebooting it, or you're just not going to be as successful as you think you might be with the character. Now, Disney, if the deal doesn't go through, issues that you're going to face is, we're all about the marketing dollars, right? So you got to have the, not the marketing dollars, the merchandising dollars, right? Well, all those toys, you know, what's going to happen with that? Also, there's going to be the same situation. In your universe, there's going to be lots of questions in come phase 5 of, well, what happened to Spider-Man? Is that guy still around, or whatever happened? I think you'll have less of an issue with that than Sony will. But as far as the rides go, because, you know, you're going to be trying to push Marvel more, and you got a Spider-Man ride coming on. This is all just not very good for you in regards to just people being confused on where's Spider-Man, how come I can't get Spider-Man stuff, why don't I see more Spider-Man, and all that jazz. So you've got your own issues, but given the nature of the cinematic universe and the nature of comics, I think it's very much easy for you guys to simply get him out of your cinematic universe seamlessly. Now, the solution. Okay, so I'm not going to go through what the original deal was. It doesn't matter. So here's the situation. Disney wants a 50-50 split partnership with, here's what's going to happen. Marvel and Sony are going to be 50-50 partners, split down the middle, right, for the Tom Holland version of Spider-Man. So Marvel, basically, it's everything you have now, but now you're 50-50 partners, so you're not fronting all the money or a majority of the cash for these movies. You have Kevin Feige kind of help out, just kind of do some things. Sony is going to get the writers from Into the Spiderverse involved, because we know they're very good, solid writers, and they'll do the character justice. Kevin Feige, you're just, you know, kind of make sure that it integrates just fine into the whole thing. Then, now, what's the catch? Well, Disney is going to have to permit. Here's the thing. Sony wants their own cinematic universe. They want to use the Spider-Man characters in their own cinematic universe, hence Into the Spider-Verse. Hence, that's what they're going to do anyways, I think unsuccessfully, and bring it into the Venomverse with the Tom Holland one if this deal doesn't go through. So, what you do, Disney, is you allow them the ability to have a different universe. Allow them to create that Sonyverse using a recasted new costume Spider-Man. Sony, what you get out of this is you have the ability to make your own cinematic universe, which, let's be honest, that's really the thing you guys want the most. And you don't have to worry about continuity with anything that's going on in the MCU. You can do your own thing, and you can recast a Spider-Man, maybe an older version of Spider-Man, a different style of Spider-Man that fits more in line with the Venomverse anyways. And then you can have your own live-action Spider-Verse, which is, we know, something that you're interested in, and boom, now you got an extra Spider-Man because of this new recasting. It's in this own universe, and you can still bring Tom Holland in when you do the whole live action of the Spider-Verse. And this just kind of works because the reality is Disney, you need the Tom Holland version, but you don't want to get people confused about the correlation between whatever Sony's got going on the side project that you have no control over. So here's what you guys do. You take the Tom Holland Spider-Man version and you keep him exclusive to the MCU canon timeline and canon movies, and then you make a separate, you permit a separate Spider-Man movie, or it's not Spider-Man movie, but a separate, they use Spider-Man in their own movies, not an exclusive Spider-Man film, but in a Venom film, in a Sinister Six or something like that direction. I don't know. I would actually probably just keep it in this whole Venom motif and then have Spider-Man be more of a side character. And this, once again, you can recast it and it won't be a big deal. It'll also be very obvious that these are separate universes, and there's no confusion on the Disney side. There's no confusion on the Sony side. Both of you make lots of money because, let's be honest, the character makes cash. And Sony, the reason you're doing this is because you want the longevity of the character to make you more money in the long run. Don't try what DC did, where it's all about getting to that one film, right? It's all about getting to Justice League as fast as possible. If in your guys' case, it's about getting Spider-Man and the Sinister Six together right away. It's about getting Spider-Man and Venom together right away. You really need to just focus on building a cinematic universe, doing its own thing, and not try and rush as if that one film is really going to save everything. It's not. And what you have here is a good character from which has support behind it outside of you guys. I mean, Marvel is going to do whatever they can to make sure that the Spider-Man character in Tom Holland is as successful as possible, as popular as possible. They want the character to succeed. They have your interest in mind as far as making the most money possible off that character. So what you're going to do is do that 50-50 thing, because that's what they want. But we know what you want is a cinematic universe of your own. So Disney, you give them that cinematic universe, just make it very clear that there can be no confusion that this is a separate universe, new casting, new costume, new style. All that stuff is very separate. And the Tom Holland version is so definitive, so clearly defined via MCU and other parameters, that it's very, very easy for you guys to make this. And once again, we're talking about multiverses here, right? You guys are dealing with comic book properties. So it's not very difficult to say, here's this universe, here's this universe, here's a parallel universe. I mean, Into the Spider-Verse did it in a single movie, and the MCU has a large span of films. So now I understand that walking away from the table is a common, you're just trying to pull negotiation power moves, and I would say it's completely unnecessary. And of course, you're getting this out into the press to try and put pressure on the other company. But the reality is that the pressure is on both of you guys, because the audience, the fans, and the typical standard moviegoer wants to go to both films and not be confused and also not be let down. So here's the thing. The fans who are going to go into a movie with Tom Holland as Spider-Man, and it's going to feel a little disconnected, and as that franchise attempts to continue without being connected to the MCU, you're not going to get the kind of return you're expecting. You're not going to get the multiple viewings. Venom was a success, kind of, but you're not going to get the kind of returns that you want to, nor the longevity that you're going to be seeking as a company. So Sony, you don't want to take that route. And Disney, you guys have the ability, like I said, to get around Spider-Man much easier than Sony does. But with that being said, it's also kind of annoying, and you can do so much more with it. Another thing you guys can throw on the table is talk about maybe just continuing the Tom Holland character within the TV format, because Disney has the ability to do the live action Spider-Man TV show on its maybe Disney Plus programming. So then Sony, you can get a little bit of action in on there, and then maybe just kind of separate, once again, that line between the Sony Venomverse and the Marvel MCU. And if you guys ever want to do a really smart move, which would be something like the Who Framed Roger Rabbit, where you can get all the companies together to work together in the common interest of making as much money as possible, then you guys can have some crossover into these universes once in a while. This is not very difficult, and the reality is I know you guys are just doing your negotiation with this whole walking away, let's make the news, let's make whatever, and I guess it did create this video, but at the same time, you guys have comic book characters, you guys have multiple universes, you guys are going to be in competition at the box office regardless. At least this way you can coordinate with one another and make a little bit of cash off of working together, because it is to both of your interests to do so. Anyways, those are my thoughts. It'll get you both the most money. Marvel, it'll get you more money, obviously, and then Sony, you'll be making, you know, your own sort of cameos of Spider-Man, so you can make your extra draw in some additional viewers from that, some added interest. Just make them separate, make them clear, and I think you're good to go. Okay, that's it. That's the thing. If you need to reach out to me for further details, you know, reach out. But otherwise, there's really no reason why this shouldn't take place. If Sony makes the next film disconnected from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it's the longevity of the franchise is not going to last. It's not going to last, and that's really where the money is. It's not in a one film deal. It's not in two films. What you want is the longevity of the character and the franchise. And Sony, you're really gonna risk killing the franchise. And Disney, you're also just risking confusion, because that character that you've built is going to be put somewhere else. And so you both have pretty even holding on both grounds. But once again, there's really no reason why this deal can't go through, especially before the next Spider-Man movie happens. Get the writers from Into the Spider-Verse. They did great work, and we'll do it from there.